Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Exactly, back bringing some more daily NBA news for the fans from a fan. And like always, we got a heck of a lot to talk about today, so let's just get right into it. But first, I do have to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, SeatGeek. I'm sure all of you know by now exactly what SeatGeek is, but just in case you for some reason forgot, let me fill you in. As SeatGeek is the world's best ticket purchasing service, as not only does it guarantee you the best seats, but it also guarantees you the best prices, and those prices become even better when you use the promo code SDC. Receive $20 off your first ticket purchase. I'll have the links down in the description box below. For our first story of the day, we have an update to the Washington Wizards trade situation regarding Bradley Beal and John Wall, and I don't think this report should surprise anyone, as it turns out that very few teams are actually interested in trading for John Wall. These reports come from none other than Adrian Wojnarowski. He was quoted saying this yesterday. You can count on one hand, and probably with just a couple of fingers, places that really might have interest in taking his contract and what it all means to bring him in. I would never say there's no market for John Wall, but I think Bradley Beal has a much broader market. But if Washington was going to do something, they would have to get every last asset they could for Bradley Beal. When a player is seen to be a cancer in the locker room, and then on top of that, they're owed around $40 million for the next few seasons, it's going to be very hard to move that player. There aren't going to be many teams interested in trading for John Wall. That being said though, this report does align perfectly with reports that we had just gotten out a couple of days ago regarding Bradley Beal, as reports say that so many teams are asking for Bradley Beal that is basically making it impossible for any team to trade for Bradley Beal. I think what they're asking for Beal, from what I've heard, makes him functionally not available, but maybe some team throws the Brinks truck or their price comes down. Now this does leave Washington in a very interesting place. Clearly a lot of teams would love to trade for Bradley Beal, but because so many teams want to trade for Bradley Beal, the asking price is going to be ridiculously high, since the Wizards would like to get as much as they possibly can. However, that's also the problem. The teams are only interested in trading for Bradley Beal and not interested in John Wall or anyone else on the roster. Next up in the news, reports have come out claiming that the Cleveland Cavaliers have spoken to the Philadelphia 76ers about a possible trade for Markelle Fultz. And as of right now, that's all we know. We don't know how far talks may have progressed or the names of any players that were discussed during the trade conversations. However, that being said, earlier in the season, we did get reports out saying that Philly is interested in bringing on Kyle Korver. So maybe there is a way that the two teams can get something done. I do want to say though that it is peculiar that the Cleveland Cavaliers would have interest in Markelle Fultz, mainly because they just drafted Colin Sexton. And in the long run, I don't know what a backcourt of Colin Sexton and Markelle Fultz will look like. How would that work? This could be a case where the Cavs are just looking to get their hands on as much young talent as possible, though, now that they're fully embracing the rebuild process. And one last note of this, I know the likelihood of this happening is extremely low, but another player on the Cavs roster that could be very interesting for Philly to acquire would be Kevin Love, as they could definitely use some help at the 4 spot, considering since they traded away Dario Saric, they've been trying out Wilson Chandler and Mike Muscala at the 4 spot, and Kevin Love would clearly be an upgrade over both of those players. That being said, there's no way that the Cleveland Cavaliers do a trade of Kevin Love for Markelle Fultz straight up, and I'm not sure the Philadelphia 76ers will be willing to roll the dice on Kevin Love long term, considering he just got that massive contract extension which will net him $30 million for the next 4 years. So I highly doubt that anything would happen there with Kevin Love to the Sixers, but it would be really interesting if it did. And next up in the news, we have an update on the Kawhi Leonard versus Greg Popovich story that we covered yesterday, where Greg Popovich came out claiming that Kawhi Leonard was never a leader for the San Antonio Spurs, and the leadership role fell more upon the laps of players such as Manu Ginobili and Patty Mills, to which I said that I do agree, as the reins to the team were never fully handed over to Kawhi Leonard. Last year might have been the year that was supposed to happen, but it never did because of his injury and all the other drama that was surrounding him in the organization. So he was never really able to take over as the full-time leader for the San Antonio Spurs. And the update to this situation comes from Kawhi Leonard himself, as when he was asked yesterday whether or not he had heard what Greg Popovich said, and if so, what was his response to it, well, this was his response. I heard about it. It's just funny to me because, you know, I don't know if he's talking about last year or not, but I guess when you stop playing, they forget how you lead. Other than that, it doesn't matter. I'm here with the Raptors. My focus is on this season and not what's going on the other side. And even though that might have sounded like it was the end of it, it wasn't, as he was later asked whether or not he views himself as a leader, and this is what he had to say. I lead by example, coming into practice every day, just going hard and coming into the games mentally focused. You can't see these things if you're not playing on the floor. Guys ask me questions about their particular matchup or if I see something on the floor. I'm telling guys, go here, go there, just motivating people. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to lift people's spirits up. That's about it. Don't try to get anybody too down, just lift them up. Now, Kawhi Leonard does bring up some good points about him leading by example, because he was always one of their hardest workers, especially on the defensive end. He was their defensive ace, and they did turn to him a lot on the defensive end, which you could for sure consider leading. But at the same time, it's really hard to lead by example when you're not on the floor playing, and even worse, if you're not even showing up to the games, especially in the playoffs. So I'm still siding with Greg Popovich on this. Kawhi Leonard was becoming a leader for the Spurs, but he never fully became the leader for the San Antonio Spurs. That is going to do it for the news for today though. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, then why not go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. Thank you once again for watching though. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but until next time, I'm out of here.